All right, I'd like to thank everybody for sticking around to the end of the day. Hopefully this is worth it. Number 3 is the broom, because it doesn't use any water, so we don't even have to go over that one. Oh, it's not actually.
That's Canadian humor,
It's Canadian
by the way,
humor.
in case you
Canadian
didn't
lack
figure
of
that
humor.
out.
End of the day, remember. Hot water demand systems, and there is one right over there. Larry Aker has one. So these are not new. They've been around for a lot of years, but the reason we included it is because I think they're becoming newly accepted into the industry, into the homes. And they're used, I'm sure everybody knows this, but they're used to reduce the wait time for hot water. The primary user benefit is to reduce the wait time for hot water. Most users that I've talked to aren't buying it specifically to save energy or water. They're buying it because they want to turn their shower on and jump in and have a hot shower. So the water use reduction, which is what we're claiming here, is a secondary benefit. That's not why most users would put them in. Now, just to reiterate or just to emphasize, this is not a tankless hot water heater. It's not a point of use hot water heater. It's a recirculation system within the home. So there's a couple different types. There's probably more than a couple different types, but the basic types are one that use a dedicated return line. So you've got a line coming from the hot water tank to a fixture at the far end of the house, and then another line brings the water back to the hot water tank, and a pump would recirculate that water. The other type uses the cold water line. Now, I had one of these installed in an earlier house of mine years and years ago that used the cold water return line, but it worked on a timer. And the problem was that by the time the hot water recirculated around, I had hot water in both my hot and my cold line. So when I had it now, I didn't have to wait for the hot water, but I had to wait for cold water. So these ones, such as the demand system, have a temperature sensor that once the hot water, even though so you've got ambient water in both the hot and cold, once the hot water gets to the fixture, it shuts the pump off. So now you've still got ambient temperature in the cold, but hot water in the hot. The barrier to the installation, the main barrier I see, is it requires an electrical outlet under the lav sink furthest from the hot water tank. If it was something you could just screw on and it didn't require power or to get an electrician in, it would be a lot more readily acceptable by the population. So I say the homeowner, they install it because they want instantaneous hot water. Most of them are not really that concerned about the water savings. Now there's the exact same drawing because I took this off of Larry's website. But fundamentally, when you turn the system on, so you walk in the morning and everybody probably knows this, but I'll go over it anyway. You walk into the bathroom in the morning, you're going to have a shower, you push a button, and that turns on this pump. The pump starts bringing hot water, which this looks hot, but now it's just ambient temperature water, hot water from the tank, brings it like this, and once it reaches here, or here actually, the sensor shuts it off. So what this pump has done is taken all the ambient temperature water in this line and moved it through to this line. And so now when you turn on the tap, you get virtually instantaneous hot water. Maybe the hot water is here now and you get it very, very quickly. And what it's done is it's also brought hot water closer to these other fixtures as well. So it's what you would want. If everybody could have this, they would want it. So, and I'm sure Larry will give you a much better sales demonstration.
And by the way, Larry's not here.
Oh, he's not here anymore?
No, well, he's not here right now, and he didn't even know that none of the manufacturers knew that these products were going to be included here.
So the total potential annual sales or annual savings there, 250 plus billion gallons a year, 950 plus billion liters. The savings that we estimate are slightly less than what most manufacturers estimate, but I think this is more realistic. John has had one of these in his home for years, or for quite a while anyway, if not years. And I've just ordered one. I'm moving into a new home. I've ordered one for my home too. Tell my wife it's because we got to save water, but I really just want hot water in my shower when I turn it on. Number 2, surprise, surprise, is aftermarket dual flush retrofit conversion devices. Simple concept. You don't have to replace your toilet and put a dual flush toilet to save water. You can simply put a conversion kit in, you take out the flushing mechanism, put in the new mechanism, and it will convert your single flush toilet into a dual flush toilet. There's more than 12 manufacturers with these type of products out there right now, and there's probably going to be more and more and more coming out. John and I put a caution out in 2009 saying that if these don't work properly, they could actually increase the volume of the full flush. So you may have a 1.6 gallon toilet, you put this in, now you're flushing with 2 gallons. They may negatively affect toilet performance. You could have a 1.6 gallon toilet that you put this in and it turns it into a 1.1 gallon toilet, now your performance is gone. It may reduce the trap seal because the trap seal is a fundamental of how the operation, the fill valve and the flush valve work. And if you restrict that, maybe you're not getting a 2-inch trap seal anymore. So there's a safety aspect. So we just put this out. We didn't say they don't work. We just said, caution, don't believe everything the manufacturers tell you. Try to get some third-party testing and find out which ones do work.
Well, when we did that, it created somewhat of a firestorm, and but the water agencies were being approached by a lot of manufacturers or manufacturers' reps who were telling pretty wild stories about these devices and all the wonderful things they could do. Fortunately, a lot of that stopped once the caution statement was out there and was circulated to all these water agencies.
Some of these products will actually save more water than the toilet uses, which is phenomenal when you think of it. So, but the problem is there's no acceptable performance standard for these devices. So some of them, the legitimate ones, might have come and said, we wanted to get it tested to prove that it does work. How do we do that? How do we go and test it? Because it's an aftermarket fitting or fixture, really there's no way for them to do that. So after hearing enough information from the manufacturers, John and I said, I'll tell you what, we'll do a simple set of tests, third-party testing, not certification, third-party testing, and we'll give you our opinion as long as you pay for the testing. And we had quite a few of the manufacturers show an interest in this. Then we informed them that the results would be posted. They had to pay up front, and the results were going to be posted if they were good or bad. So if you did great, we're going to tell everybody you did great. If you did poorly, we're going to tell everybody you did poorly, and that affected how many people were interested in participating in the program. Not surprisingly, what we were going to say is, what is the maximum flush volume? We were going to test on 1.6, 3.5 gallon toilets. Could you turn a 1.6 into a 3.5 with this device? Back into a 2 gallon, what have you? Was it possible for the homeowner to, there's a lot more than this, but I just put the few ones on. Possible for the homeowner to adjust the full flush and the reduced flush independently? So they may say, now I've got my reduced flush, I have to increase a little bit because it's still leaving toilet paper. They could increase that without increasing the full flush. Ease of installation, do you have to remove the tank? It's fine in a brand new toilet, it's not fine in a 15-year-old toilet. Ease of adjustment, the overall quality. I mean, we're just going to give them our opinion based on our testing. So like I say, many initially showed response, only 2 actually submitted products for testing of the more than 12, and only 1 so far that we've tested actually has met what we would consider our requirements to say that that product works more or less as advertised. There is a large potential for savings, but unless they're third-party tested, and not necessarily by us, but by some agency, unless they're third-party tested, the caution statement still remains. I wouldn't, if I was a water agency, rebate or recommend the use of these products until somebody looks at them and says these actually work the way they should. This is one example of a product that was submitted, a very, very simple product. It's simply this, you take off your flapper, you put in this device, which is a little sleeve, slides down the overflow tube. It's got a piece of sponge on it, a little cylinder, and then an adjustable flapper in this particular case. So when the user tries to flush the toilet, if they push down rather gently, the flapper lifts up and it flushes the toilet, and when the water level goes down, it closes. If they really need to flush that toilet, they push down hard on the handle, and not only does the flapper lift up, but this whole device lifts up, and more water drains out to give you the full flush. This reseats, and the flapper reseats. It's a very, very simple device. Doesn't cost a lot of money, but it's not perfected yet. We haven't got one yet that doesn't leak. But if you discount the fact that some of them leak very, very minor, they do work. It does work, but it requires the homeowner to choose whether he's going to push lightly or heavily. But all dual flush toilets, virtually all dual flush toilets, require the homeowner to make that decision. Here's another one. Maybe you've heard of MGSI. This is the one that so far has passed the testing. You don't have to remove the tank. We haven't found any leaks in any of the tests that we've done on 3.5 or 1.6. You can adjust the short flush and the full flush independently. It's rather more robust, but it's rather more expensive as well.
This one's being tested, I don't know if those tests are done yet, in the field.
Yeah. Yeah, we're doing our testing on it, and it's also being done in the field. The report will be available soon. So they're putting these in field tests as well. So the total potential annual savings, 300 plus billion gallons, or 1 trillion liters. And just in case you don't know, those are the same number. But that's a lot of water.